Hello you lovely lot, thanks for joining me today. How are you? My name's Emma and this is the 10-Minute Quilter. Quilt of the week this week is an Hourglass quilt. Ta-da! I was approached by my lovely niece Ailis, who asked me if I would make her a quilt for her 21st birthday. She sent me across a picture of a quilt that she'd seen, I think it was in Zara Home, that she really liked the look of. And it's not much to go on, is it really? But you can see that it's an Hourglass block. Now, I must admit, I was thinking of myself a little bit when I suggested to her that we perhaps try something a little bit different. The thought of churning out all of those Hourglass blocks all the same did not appeal. I know what I'm like, and I know how easily I get bored with things. So I suggested that we perhaps vary the size of the blocks a little bit, which I thought would help alleviate some of the repetition a little bit. So jumped onto EQ8 and put in a few ideas and sent her across this version and also this version. And she really liked the second one, and so we agreed that was the route that we were going to go through. So I then sent her a number of fabric pulls from my stash, just trying to gauge what sort of thing she liked the look of. And after a few conversations backwards and forwards, she eventually settled on this fabric here. And I bought this fabric, I think I bought this at Festival of Quilts, and I think I bought it with a view to using it as a backing fabric because it's a wider fabric and I bought quite a bit of it. So I think that was my original plan with it, but she really liked it. And so we agreed that I would do a fabric pull based on the colours in this particular fabric, which I'm hoping you can see I've tried to do. And the blocks vary in size from a 6-inch block here to a 12-inch block all the way up to an 18-inch block as well, which I thought worked quite nicely. My original plan was to do it all blocks, but after a while I was really conscious that time was ticking on. More on that in a minute. But I decided that I was going to lay it all out on the living room floor, and I think you can see from the photographs I had some empty spaces. So instead of making blocks, I then put the cream in just to break it up a little bit, and I think it also gives your eye somewhere to rest a little bit as well. I really enjoyed piecing it because there were some offset seams in it, so it meant that I had to think really carefully about how I pieced it, and I was having to do some partial seams to get the blocks to all fit in. So for anybody who doesn't know, that would perhaps mean that I would sew part way down and I would leave part of the block, part of the seam unstitched. I'd add another bit in the bottom, and then I would come back in later and finish that first seam. That probably made as much sense to you as it did to me when I said it out loud, but anyway, there we go. So yeah, really enjoyed putting it together. Quilted it up, and I was a bit limited because I put a board around it, but my maximum sort of space on my quilt frame is sort of 71 inches thereabouts, 72. This was coming in at 73.5 in width. So I had to do a little bit of juggling with the pantograph and with the setup to get it to work. But I got it on, and I got it quilted, and I think it was okay. The pantograph is one that is called Deja Vu. I have used it before. It's available from Urban Elements. I have it on a roll, so not a print at home. It was a bought one. And I think it's quite nice because it's got some swirls, it's got a bit of sort of feathers going on there as well, which I think works quite nicely for the quilting. I did have a little bit of an issue in that it doesn't have a right and a wrong way, I don't think, because you're just following the line, but I had it in my mind I had it upside down, and I felt like I was going against the flow of it. Maybe there is a right way and a wrong way, but I felt I was going in the wrong direction, if that makes sense. And it doesn't make any difference to the finished quilt because there's no top and bottom to it, but I had a bit of a brain fart about it, and so I didn't always feel like I had the right flow to it, if that makes sense. Won't make that mistake again, that's for sure. Did I say it's Aurifil thread? I can't remember if I did or not. Aurifil thread, an off-white, and it's got 80/20 inside it. She wanted a nice soft ditzy fabric for the backing, so that if she wanted to, she could turn it over and use it the other way round, which I'm hoping that sort of fits the design brief. I got that from Festival of Quilts this year, specifically for this. My plan originally was to bind it in that fabric as well, but I think you can see that it doesn't really sit very well with the backing fabric, so we had to have a little change of plan, which is why I've gone for this nice soft pink fabric, which I think looks quite nice, and it sits quite nicely with the backing fabric as well. So I am in the process of just, I think you can see I've made a start, but I'm in the process of just hand stitching that down now. And that's going to be my plan over the next couple of days. And then it will have its first wash before I hand it over to her, probably mid to late September, I think, is when I will try and get it to her. Is now a good time to tell you that she's already turned 22? So it's only taken me just over a year. That's not bad going for me, actually, really. But I hope she likes it. I hope she enjoys it. I think she will. I think she'll like it. So I will put some finished pictures in for you and the measurements as well, so that you've got some idea. And that's my Hourglass quilt. Thanks ever so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care. Bye.